In my head, there is a place where fear and self doubt live. It is dark and it is heavy, a tunneled vacuum that tries to suck me in. We humans have been taught that this dark place is where we shall reside. It is normal to be caught up in tangled loops and just abide. I have ventured through my headspace and down into my heart. There I found a brightly lit room filled with inspiration to make art. A blank white canvas generously inviting me to explore. Every color at my fingertips, and the bubbling excitement is hard to ignore. I practice every day, spending more time with my heart. I nurture our relationship because I abandoned her from the start. She is warm, compassionate, and even funny too. She whispers to me about our dreams and all the things we wish to do. We all have this place within us, wanting to be seen. It takes courage, it takes practice, it takes unconditioning to unlayer and let go of all the things that keep us small. We really were created to play big here after all.
Your little horseman! Yes! Hi, Jess. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Shay. Oh my gosh, it's so exciting to be here.
I know, I'm excited for our conversation and to see what wisdom comes through you today. I figured we could start with just letting everybody know who you are, like what do you do for fun, and any other fun facts that you would like to share with us today.
I love that. So I'm Jessika Lum. I like starting with what I do for fun. I like that. So what I love to do for fun, I love to just be in nature. I love to be surrounded by the people that I love. I have a lot of really amazing friends and family that are around me. So I love to just spend time with people. Like quality time is a huge like love language for me. So I really love that quality time. Yeah. And then like we both bought rollerblades recently. So like that's been a fun hobby and just like dancing and yeah, mostly just being at the ocean is like a really big thing for me and yoga and yeah, just things that make me feel good. I'm all about doing that for sure. And then as for me, like in a work setting or like who
Yeah.
I am in that setting, yeah. I just started my own business about a year ago, and I'm a women's empowerment coach. And so, what that looks like is right now working with women one on one, and I work with women in 4 month long containers. And we just really work on all the things that are blocking them from being fully empowered and fully in their power in the world. So a lot of that times we're actually blocking ourselves. So we can do like inner child healing, we can do mindset work, just all of those stories and things that are getting in the way of really just like unleashing who we truly are. So that's what I do for work. And then I also host like women's circles online and other events too. So yeah, it's fun.
Ooh, that's amazing. I love that. And in your own words, being a women's empowerment coach, what does the word empowered mean for you?
Okay. So empowered, like the first word that's coming to mind is freedom.
Love
And I think it's just like freedom to be exactly what we are in the moment. And that's something I've also noticed like within my own journey is like there's so much control and shame and guilt over our human experience. And I love that your talk show is called Being Human because it's just so relevant. But like we try to deny that we're human. And a lot of times we're trying to curate exactly how we're going to be in each moment. And that just becomes draining and exhausting. And it's actually really not empowering at all. I think the most empowered people are the ones that are really just like present with themselves and can accept in every moment how they are, how who they be in the moment. So, really working with clients in this empowered state to just like release the stories and really just come back to like the truth in the present moment of what is happening and who they are being in that moment.
Yeah. Ooh, that's potent. I like, yes. And
Yeah.
I feel like you nailed something so perfect, especially like we're having this conversation during such like a heightened time of the world. And that's like
Yeah.
creating freedom and knowing what that feels like on an individual level. So for anyone that's watching this today and maybe that like is really landing for them, how would you, or how do you do this with your clients even, or for yourself? Like how do you start guiding people towards that like liberation of self, and how do you feel that that shows up in like the world?
Yeah. Yeah. I think I want to touch on the world thing because I feel like we continue as a society and as a collective to keep falling into this trap of trying to change the external and getting stuck in separation. I just recently had a conversation actually with Jenny about this, and it was just really about like how we keep falling into this trap of separation and this trap of like war between these people, this thing and that thing. And it's like, I think the first step in to creating this liberation is really just honoring that you only have control over you. And this is like super empowering and also really scary for a lot of people. There's this illusion of control that we have over things. And that's what kind of keeps everything in these beautiful boxes that we love so much.
Yeah.
But that control is also an illusion. It's an illusion of the ego. And so when we can recognize that the only control that we really have is like over really like how we can actually how we react to things, because we don't even actually have control over our emotions. I think that is actually an illusion too. But it's like how can I just have acceptance and compassion for what is showing up for me? I think that's really huge. And a lot of people try to jump. Well, I think first awareness is huge. Sorry. So it would be like awareness first and then the acceptance. And then from there, you can take aligned action to create the change that you want. But I think a lot of what's out there right now is like, okay, we have this awareness and it goes awareness to action. And without that acceptance piece, without that compassion for your human experience and what's true and real for you just keep bringing that same wound with you in your actions. So like accepting what's there actually like frees up so much more space.
Yeah, that's so true. I feel like we all like to go to like hyper problem solving right away. It's like, oh, I see a problem, okay, then I'm gonna solve it, and then you don't ever like stop to check like what's there. And I think that's huge. I love that. And then speaking of this human experience, of course, I have to know
Yeah.
from your own eyes and definition, how do you define being human in the modern day
Wow.
world?
That's a big question. I mean, being human is a wild experience for me. I feel like, you know, it's really fun. Like we're living in this reality right now, this reality where we have connection to people all over the world in like a second. Like that's never been possible on Earth before. So we're living in a really cool time on Earth and also a very polarizing time on Earth and a very disconnected time. Even though we are so connected through technology and the internet, I feel like we are very disconnected. And so it's very like polar kind of situation that we as a human get to navigate. And I feel like being a human at this time is like embracing this newness and embracing the expansion and possibility and abundance that we're all able to tap into like so quickly, but then also like coming back down into like our ancient roots of like true connection and true just like humanness, which I think is just like feeling and being. Um, yeah, like one of my favorite things with like human being, it's like it's called human being, and not human doing. And actually the poet Young Pueblo, like that was the first time I ever heard that before, was from him. And like I think being a human is like really just like surrendering into the being. And I know like for myself on my journey, that's been definitely an exploration. And I feel like it's so wired in our subconscious and in our DNA to constantly be doing. So yeah, I think it's this beautiful balance of embracing everything that this world has to offer in this modern time, but also just like really reconnecting back to self and like the simplicity of life, like connection and feeling and being.
I love, and you said connecting back to like our ancient roots a little bit, and I think that's kind of lost nowadays in some way. And I remember someone telling me that in like Latin or something, the word human comes from like humor or something like that. And then it means of the earth. So I love that you also touched upon like the ancient roots. And how do you connect back to really, yeah, like our ancestry and how we came to be? And I know nature, you said nature's huge for you, but I'd love to know that.
Yeah. Yeah, like when you said that, nature was the first thing that came to mind. Like even this last week I've been kind of in work mode a lot, but it's just like taking those 5 to 10 to 15 minutes to just like put my bare feet on the grass and just like look at the sky and like breathe in air and just like bring that presence to what really is here for us all the time. Like we're always surrounded by nature in some way and it's always supporting us, and it's like it's really easy to be in your do mode and not necessarily recognize that. But like I mean every day at least once, I'm thinking more than once though, we like feed ourselves. And I like to eat a lot of plants. Like I like to eat fruits and vegetables and like things that come from the earth, and just to really like just to marvel at how amazing the earth is and what it provides us. Like we have such variety. Like we're able to, have avocados from Mexico and like fruits from all over the world. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
yeah, and it's like, I mean, I think, and some people might argue that that's not the most natural thing. Like we should be getting things locally. And of course, I love that. Like kind of
Yeah.
getting off track. Like farmers market is amazing, but also like just yeah, I think just being in gratitude if that's accessible to you, like for what is around us, and like to just really connect to how much this planet that we live on is always providing for us. And I think another part of connecting to those ancient roots is really this idea of tribe. And I know that tribe has kind of expanded, which is actually really beautiful. Like with the internet, like I feel like both of us have found tribe through connecting with people online and just really finding like-minded humans.
Yeah.
And like I guess in the ancient way, tribe was really like who was closely connected to you, and you didn't actually have as much choice in it. So I feel like there's really like this ability to create chosen tribe now with technology. And in that, I think connecting back to like more ancient roots is like true vulnerability and authenticity in those connections, like just being able to let your guard down and say what's real for you. And if someone asks you how you are, it's not like I'm fine, I'm good. It's like honestly today was really hard. And yeah, I think that kind of brings back that ancient connection while also still remaining modern and with the times.
Oh yeah, I agree with that. And I totally resonate with just like this fear of being vulnerable and connection. And I know that both of us have gone on quite the journeys in finding our tribe and finding ourselves and being able to speak authentically and you know, what's real on our hearts. And I feel like anyone who's watching this, maybe they're in that like transition phase of life where they're like discovering, like Michael Singer says, that second voice in the head, and it's just like, who am I, and starting to peel back the identity pieces. And I know personally, and I know for you even, for a little while, like it can feel a little lonely before you find like your new people, and you're like in that bridge between worlds of like, okay, well, I'm no longer fully in this community, but I don't exactly have who I like want to be surrounded by. And it's then you're just like, okay, who am I had many identity crises, you know. But what
Yeah.
like, kind of advice would you give someone on that journey of finding community and learning to lean into that vulnerability? Because I know it can be so scary at the beginning.
Yeah. Yeah, the beginning of this journey, and this journey meaning like it has a lot of different names. Like it could be like your spiritual awakening, it could just be diving into personal development. It's kind of just like this unveiling of these layers, and it's just scary in and of itself because the ego has created such an illusion, and when we break that illusion, I found myself kind of grasping for it. Like it was like, I don't want this all to shatter because I'm not going to know who I am. I'm not going to know what the truth is. Like, it's like letting go of everything that was comfortable. Um, yeah, comfortable in our reality, comfortable in our mindsets, comfortable, just in perception.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah.
we're letting so much fall away. And, I feel like also in this Western world, um, there's kind of like this hoarder mentality. So it's like I resonate with that. It's like
Oh, yeah.
I
It's like,
I
no,
don't
hold
want to yeah. So I think one, if you are in this place, like even though it feels really fucking scary, you're tapping into something so potent. When things feel uncomfortable and scary, it's like the arrow of like truth and the arrow to like keep going, because anything that's comfortable and familiar is like already programmed. And if you're wanting to leave that, you have to get into the scary. Like you have to just dive in, right? So, yeah, I just wanted to say that about just this experience. And loneliness is a big part of it, because not everyone that you have in this moment is going to continue with you on your journey. And that's true about every single person, actually, because obviously in being human, we die in this physical form. So you're going to lose, you come into this world alone and you leave this world alone. And that can be a really scary truth. And I think for me, in navigating that truth, I've gotten deeper into my spirituality and my spiritual practice, and kind of finding solace in oneness, which is like meaning, yes, like we are all these individual incarnations, but we're all of the same source. And that makes me feel like, if I'm in that deep place, that can make me feel at ease. But like if I'm in my humanness, obviously loneliness is still something that we deal with. And I think one of the things that helped me was to just allow people to fall away that needed to, and like to do that with like the utmost love and integrity if possible. um and just not trying to resist what was happening, because um I think there's light at the end of the tunnel. So I've created so many more like-minded soul connections by allowing what was meant to fall away, and then really just like calling in what I was meant to call in. And that really meant getting uncomfortable, like saying yes to things that felt scary, like really scary. Investing in myself in containers so that I could meet like-minded people that were on a similar path, investing in communities, like investing time in communities, and investing investing in myself, really, like, and making that a priority to like just choose vulnerability every time, even though it's scary. And if there are women watching, like, I know that like I host a lot of events online. So if you are looking for community, like seeking out these safe spaces where you can really like, even if it's just observing in the beginning, like sometimes it's just being in the presence of people that are being vulnerable to understand what it even means. Because I think so many of us have been so far removed from anyone that's vulnerable. So, yeah, I think it's just saying yes to yourself and not judging your loneliness, like accepting it, being with it, and um, getting yourself out of your comfort zone, even if it's just to observe.
Yes, totally agree with all of that. And yeah, your women's circles are so fun and nourishing. And I feel like sometimes it's easier to be who you are in the face of strangers than it is with people you know, which is really such an irony of the human experience. But it really is like because they know nothing about you. So it's almost just like, I think it's the judgment piece when I think about it. I'm like, it's that judgment piece that all of us are afraid of, like, oh, what are my friends gonna think of me? And we want to belong. We want to belong.
Yeah.
That comes from ancient roots of just like, if your tribe left you back then, like you would likely not survive on your own. But
Yeah.
now you can survive. And there's always I mean, I know we both like to cultivate that abundance mindset of just like there's always more where that came from. And I feel like the same
Yeah.
is true of relationships, but it can definitely be painful. And I always come back to like true expansion is like one and the same with grief. I don't know if you agree with that, but like if you're really expanding and elevating into where you're going and cultivating, then there is going to be grief and expansion. And as much as it's painful and it sucks, it's also like so beautiful because it means you're creating such a deeply fulfilling life. And I think that's like the exciting part. So I love everything you said there, which really brings me to the next topic of investing in yourself, because I know that can also be scary. And I feel like money is a very taboo topic in our society. And the fact that like you were able to overcome those hurdles of investing in yourself, I think is huge and speaks so much volume to like where you are now. And so when it comes to beginning that journey of investing in oneself and saying yes to oneself, like can you walk someone through that who might be watching here?
Yeah. And I also just wanted to add one more thing on just what you were saying. Like, the more grief that we allow ourselves to feel, like, the more pleasure too. Like, it's like this as above, so below deal. And so
Yes.
leaning into both more just expands your container. And I know we've both practiced that so much over the last year. And I think too, just again with the acceptance, like I have a lot of beautiful connections in my life. And I literally had a session earlier today, a healing session, where loneliness surfaced. So it's like some of these core wounds, like the abandonment wound or the not belonging, these separate, like it's all basically a form of separation. And these wounds are so deep. So I think it's just accepting and loving that part of you, even if it shows up, because it might not ever not be a part of you. And that is also the human experience, right? So
Oh yeah.
it all comes back to being human.
Welcome.
Yeah, welcome. And I'm pretty sure we all signed up for this. Some days I question it, but yeah, and everything is a learning lesson. So if you can start reframing to, and I'm sure you've said this before, but like, it's not happening to me, it's happening for me. Like every single thing, if we can really, and that is also empowering. Like that's the empowerment piece too, is when we can start framing life as school, it's always teaching us. Can you take more from it? Can you soak up the entire experience instead of avoiding, running, numbing, whatever your flavor is? So yeah, I just wanted to say that. But yeah, as for investing, oh
Yeah.
yeah,
Ooh,
I'm like, oh my goodness.
super scary.
Um, yeah, it was really scary, and I feel like you were actually someone that held a lot of space for me in that scariness. which was so beautiful. And like,
Mm.
I'm so grateful for you. Yeah, I think investing, like for me, I feel like I was a baby steps person. And that's kind of how I do a lot of things. I like to ease my way into the void. So like even when I go into the ocean, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get like comfortable with the water being at my ankles and then at my knees and then at my thighs. And some people just like to dive in. So I'm just telling
Yeah.
my way, and there's no right or wrong. But yeah, for me, like it really started out by these baby steps. Um, I guess like investing specifically in like programs and in containers. Yeah, like my first thing I invested in was a yoga program, and it was a year or a 9-month program. And it was a big investment for me at the time, but like divided by the 9 months, it was, you know, something that I saw I could do and was doable. And then from there, I just kind of kept upping the investment and really just tuning into like what I wanted and like put that over the money. And I think like a lot, like, I don't know, I feel like a lot of the battle is like, oh, like investing in like, oh, like maybe we can talk ourselves out of it. I guess that's what I wanted to say. We can talk ourselves out of it and think that we don't need something, but you're rewiring yourself to saying yes to yourself when you invest. And then you're stretching your capacity to actually receive from the universe, receive support, receive abundance, receive like what you want. And I think that's been ultimately the most profound thing for me is like right now, I think, I mean, if we want, like, I can talk specific numbers, but like I was doing my tax stuff, and like I think last year I invested like $30,000 in myself. And then this year, I'm like continuing with those investments. So it's probably close to like 20, 30K too. And just like I was actually reflecting on this like a week ago, and I was like, if I wasn't in all of the things that I'm in right now, I wouldn't be creating the things that I want to create. I wouldn't be feeling this confident. I wouldn't be like all in on my business and my purpose and like what I know I'm here to do. So it was like, I don't know if it's fully about the investment, but it's like, it's just saying yes to yourself energetically. And I know in both of our experiences, like the money has come and we've been supported. And every month it's kind of like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. But it's like building that really clear, like trust, like this rod of like solid connection to earth and to spirit, whatever. Like it's just building that like internal security for yourself that you've got you and that you say yes to the things that you want to do. And you're just a free sovereign being that's like doing life how she wants. And I think so many people aren't doing life exactly how they want to. So
No.
I feel like, I don't know if I answered that like clearly, but like I just feel like investing in yourself, oh my goodness, I couldn't recommend it more. And it's just, yeah, it's just a game changer,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think, ooh, yeah, I feel like I'm close to like a little over 60K in investments in like a year and a half, which is insane. But I agree, like I wouldn't be, there's no way I'd be where I was. And I think you hit the nail on the head of just like, it's not actually about the money or the investment. It's like making that investment showed myself that I was capable. It showed myself like what I was worth, because I think it comes down to like a worthiness aspect too. I don't know if like you felt that, but like before I started investing, I'm like, who am I to like be spending this kind of money on myself when I should be doing XYZ, because I still have like student loans, a car thing, and like credit cards to pay for. And but it was just like it was for my growth, and ultimately, yeah, like a form of happiness for me, because I've loved learning about myself and becoming who I am. And I love that you also said like you feel you wouldn't be where you are either if you hadn't taken those leaps of faith in yourself and in the universe to support you in these investments. And I think, a part of the human experience also is just like people are constantly right now, especially like the pandemic threw an identity crisis through the entire world of just like, okay, who am I? And people who maybe got laid off of their job, they're searching for their purpose. And I feel too often purpose and career get intermingled, and they like, people assume purpose means career and career means purpose. I have a different definition, but I want to hear yours, and how like, what is your definition of purpose, and how do you feel you've continuously been able to find yours? And then if it does tie into your career, yeah, feel free to share whatever is up for you.
Cool. I'm gonna put my hair in a clip because yeah, it just needs to happen. Hopefully it's not too crazy. Like whatever, we're being human, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, and like I think, sorry, I want to go back to the investment thing really quick too, but it's like the people that you meet too. And for me, it's built a lot of confidence in the gifts that I have within, you know, like when I've invested in programs around yoga or coaching, it's like, oh wow, like my soul guided me here because I actually have a natural interest in this and a natural gift to deliver this, you know? So I think a lot of times we deny our truth when we don't invest in something that's really calling us. But yeah, I love this distinction between purpose and career because yeah, I think it just even started with when you asked me like, who are you? What do you like to do? And then it wasn't just this assumption of like, who are you? What do you do from 9 to 5 every day? How do you make your living? You know, like, which is beautiful. And I hope that everyone loves what they do and like that brings them some type of fulfillment and joy. But for a lot of people, I don't know if that does, but it is very much a part of like their identity. But yeah, for me, like purpose has always been about connection. Like it's like one of my number one values is just connection to self, connection to earth, connection to people, connection to this idea of oneness, like just connectivity in all types of things. So that's like number one purpose for me is like being able to connect. Like I just feel like it's like the purpose of life is like connection and like love. And then also to be of service. So and like and it's almost selfish. Like I get so much out of being of service to other people. Like it lights me up. So it's like I'm doing it, yes, to serve others, but it also like in turn just serves me and like just really nourishes like a part of me that loves that. Um, and and yeah, I just feel like that's a part of my purpose. And then, you know, I feel like a part of my purpose is to bring a new way to Earth. And like that sounds maybe far out. I don't know.
Very
It's like
esoteric.
a big thing. And I don't mean like it's just me, but I do feel like part of my tribe, like who I'm connecting with mission is to just really like change the paradigm. And I know like we've talked about this so much and we're doing it. And yeah, like I just think a lot of our beliefs are different from the status quo, from the mainstream. And for so long I didn't want to be different than the mainstream or like wanted to try and fit in. And now I'm just like, no, like I need to bring this frequency, this energy, this mindset, whatever you want to call it, to other people because I think liberation comes from that for everyone else. I don't mean you need to choose my way or you need to do things my way, but I'm just saying like here's a possibility of ways in which you can look at the world and you don't have to look at it the way that everyone's been spoon feeding you.
Truly.
So yeah, so that's yeah, free thinking, free being, like you're sovereign. Like there's so much illusion that is scary to break down, but like what is government? What it like, you know.
Yeah.
So
we really want to go there. Yeah.
yeah, like you completely made up this entire world. So if everything's made up, like make up a good reality for you. Like it's your one life. I mean, at least the only life we know of. Like you might have had past lives, but but yeah, I think it's just about really like creating the life that you want. So that feels like my purpose. And even my purpose is serving that for myself, like creating the life that I want. That feels like my purpose. And like opening my heart. I feel like there's been times when I've really closed it down, and I'm working with that energy right now. Is just really like opening my heart back up, opening myself to receive what's meant to flow through, and like what I am worthy of receiving. So that all feels like my purpose. And in terms of career, I feel like I do blend some of that into my career. Um, yeah, like I think with coaching, you definitely I want to meet people where they're at. I'm not going to just like I said, I'm never here to like shove down all my beliefs and like make you turn into like another version of me. But I meet people where they're at, and I just help them to like open up the aperture from which they're viewing life. And that feels like a part of my purpose, and it does feel like service. So I think I'm lucky that I can blend both. And I also feel like I've been very courageous in stepping into that. Not everyone, not everyone does step out on their own like that, and I know you have too. So it does take a lot of courage, and I also I'm working on celebrating myself, and I know like
Yeah.
all of the layers that I went through to get to this point of really owning what I'm doing was a lot of work. So yeah, like I'm celebrating that.
Yes, celebrating you. Oh, it's been like a whole year since we've both like launched our stuff, which is so epic, and just goes to show like what can happen in a year, because a year ago the version of me that existed was terrified of everything. Like, yeah, definitely was still there's still that little part of me that it was just like I don't want to be completely different, and I want the world to like me. And now it's kind of like, no, but I need to do this for other people to see what's possible for them. And I think that's a part of my purpose. And yeah, I love it. Which, okay, so now I feel like we've laid this really great foundation, and I always like to leave everyone with some sort of like breakthrough aha moment. And so in speaking of like your path and your development, and discovering your purpose and your career and being where you are now, like this work, everyone starts somewhere, and I believe anybody watching this is somewhere in the middle of their journey, just like needing that reassurance to keep going, right? And leaning into your fears is like, ugh, it's the Lord. Like that's how I feel about it still.
Totally.
And it's like, to really do it, it does require a lot of like courage and strength, and it gets easier and easier each time. But when is a moment in your life that you feel like is important to share with the world, where you were really faced with your fears and you really had the resistance, but you did it anyways, and what prevailed for you?
Yeah. And something that was coming through while you were talking too is like, I think we're always like trying to get to this destination too. And I get stuck in that. And I think it's just remembering that like there's no really destination. Like we can hit goals and we can hit milestones and we can achieve things, and that's beautiful. But like we're always just on this like, continuous journey of growth. And I think sometimes that can take the pressure off too,
Yeah.
of just like needing to get somewhere. And then it also, back to the empowerment piece, it empowers us because we're not looking at something external to validate us or whatever. So I just wanted to say that, like, from what you were saying, like, wherever you are on your journey, you're perfect and it's happening exactly how it's meant to. And yeah, like you're perfect. But yeah, for me, like what was coming up, which I feel like was just a really big pivotal point for me. And I know we've like totally connected on this, but for me, it was really just like a breakup. Like I was with someone for 5 years, like all throughout college and a year after. Like I just really thought that this was my person. We were gonna do life together, like, and I was so caught up in that illusion, like I actually wasn't really present with what was actually happening. And I was so in denial of that I was fighting myself to stay somewhere that wasn't meant for me anymore. And um, I dragged myself through a lot of pain resisting it, um, which I've had to heal from a lot because it was a lot of self betrayal at the end of the day to put someone else like over me,
Yeah.
and so that was
Me
yeah.
too.
So yeah, and like, you know what? Like even in that experience, I've gotten to a point where I'm like, wow, like I needed to go through that because it's not that person. I was going to do it with someone and I just chose that it was going to be this person, but that was already a pattern within me that needed to be healed and it needed to be revealed and it needed to be tragic because I wasn't going to learn any other way. And if I was going to learn another way, it would have happened earlier
Oh yeah.
because there was
Gotta
a lot of
protect yourself.
signs. There was a lot of signs. So, so yeah. Remind me what your question was.
Yeah, what transpired from like leaning into the fears and the discomfort, even though you had resistance against what it was you're going through? So this breakup for you.
Yeah. Yeah. So like we ended up breaking up and then he was moving to Barcelona. I was supposed to go with him. I ended up still going. And I think the biggest breaking point was really just like buying my flight home and like being like, I need to leave. This isn't working. Um, and there was a lot of fear there. There was a lot of fear and a lot of sadness and a lot of grief. And I felt like I didn't know who I was without this person. I didn't have an identity. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what I was doing. I had just quit everything to move. So I had a lot of open space too. And it was like, oh my God, like I don't even know who I am or who I want without this. So I was kind of forced to lean in. And what transpired from leaning in and just finally letting go of the resistance is like one of the most magical journeys that I've had. Like I ended up traveling and backpacking through Asia with friends and I moved to Australia for 2 years and it was a magical beautiful experience for sure, but it was also there was a lot of pain and a lot of grief and a lot of sifting through my internal world to like figure out what happened and how I could like just reconnect with myself really. So yeah, I think sometimes our soul, the universe, whatever we want to call it, like we choose these situations that like really force us to break open because like the pebbles aren't working. Like they're throwing pebbles at the window. And then it's like, okay, we need an earthquake. Boulder, okay, earthquake.
Okay.
What's up? Yeah. So yeah, I'm at a place where I can be super grateful for that experience and really appreciate everything that it opened up for me. And yeah, I mean, that's in hindsight, like it's quite a few years after, but I think that opportunity is for everyone in every breaking situation. And again, coming back to being human, like
Yeah.
we are fucking resilient. Life is resilient and things that you don't think you could survive from because there were days when I really didn't think I could survive another day. Like I didn't want to do it anymore. Like I just didn't want to deal with crying and being in pain. And it's like we're resilient, and that is pretty magical.
Oh yeah. Ooh, yes. I feel all of that. And yeah, I mean, my journey, too, started with a breakup. I feel like happens for many, but I mean, for the men or the women out there who are watching this, who maybe are going through that breakup or maybe they're questioning their relationship, I mean, it's kind of like giving advice to that version of you, but like, what piece of advice would you give them?
Mm. I think just be honest with yourself. Like, honesty with yourself creates honesty for everyone else. Like, truth with yourself creates truth with everyone else. And what I'm really learning is like what's in your highest good ends up being in what's in the highest good for everyone. So I think just first, like, really being truthful and honest with yourself about what's happening, and putting yourself first over anyone. Like, choose you. No one can choose you if you haven't chosen you. So you have to really choose yourself and be willing to lose it all for you. And that's empowering. That is ultimately what we all are craving and wanting from ourselves. So I think that's really important. And then, like, if you end up breaking union, like breaking up, give yourself like full permission to go through the process however you want. And there's no time limit on it. Like, I feel like I grieved for a really long time. I didn't date anyone for a really long time. I wasn't intimate with anyone for a really long time. And I spent a lot of time judging that, even though it was what I needed, and then trying to prove that I didn't need that, which was painful also. So, like, and if that isn't your road and it's something completely opposite, that is okay too.
Yeah,
Like,
it's like it's all welcome.
it's all allowed. It's all allowed. Like, but I think just really, I don't know, for me, I feel like I really indulged in every piece of it. And some might say that I dragged out the sadness, and that's, that's their interpretation. But like, I needed that to get to this point now where like I'm fully complete on that journey. So yeah, just give yourself permission.
Mm, yes. Yes. Yay. Oh, thank you so much for all of that. And I feel like that's really going to serve someone who might be going through something very, very similar. Um, and then, I mean, not that this conversation hasn't been fun, but some more lighthearted conversation.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
I have really been practicing, like 2021 was like the year of making everything in life ritual and infusing like pleasure in it to some degree. So I'm curious to know, like, what's a ritual that either you come back to that really anchors you in, or something maybe you've been practicing now that you would like to share with us?
Yeah, I love ritual. So fun. Um, I feel like I have like two things that are happening. For me personally, like a ritual that I always come back to is honestly baths. Like,
Yes.
baths are life changing for me. I feel like they drop me into a portal, a womb, some type of vortex, and I exit out like feeling like a completely new person. So I feel like I hadn't been indulging in baths for like a good span of time in the middle there, like between childhood and adulthood. There was just like a huge gap in the bath game. So I feel like I'm making up for that now, and I really try to do a bath like once a week. Like, that just feels really like, it just feels so luxurious to me. Like, it just feels like, I don't know, just like abundance and luxury and beauty and all the things. So
Major goddess.
I love, yeah, exactly. And so I love just like being really bougie with my bath, and like adding Epsom salts, oils, flowers, like just doing it big. So that's been a really big ritual for me. And like, it just cleanses my energy. Like I was saying, I just feel like a completely different person. So I always come back to that. And and then I love ritual like in connection with other people, like specifically with sisters. Like I know we've shared ritual together, and like I just find that it's so much easier to bring that like portal of connection like with a community and like with other people. Like you're all tapping into like this frequency. So I love, and I think it's even beautiful that we can do it online too. So I like doing like I said, like women's circles like around the moon, um or in person circles, and just like, yeah, just really tapping into that ritualistic energy, whether that means like we're making food and then we're gonna have like a circle and pull cards or whatever it is. Like I feel like that really fuels me. And then yeah, like as far as like daily rituals, like I've really actually gotten a meditation practice down that I've been really consistent with for the first time ever, like in my life. Like I've always had practices, but they've always dropped off. And this one's been really sticking, and I feel like almost incomplete without it every morning. And so I just do like 20-30 minute meditation every morning, and that's become like a huge ritual for me. And I really see a shift in how I'm showing up because of that. So yeah, I feel like, and again, like one size does not fit all. So ritual is so different, but I think what is behind ritual is just presence and intention. So
Yeah.
whatever you love, if you can bring that to it, cooking, dancing, like anything can be ritual. And I think it's just important to really drop into the present.
I that is such a valid point. Is ritual does bring you back to like presence. Like mine definitely been gua sha, as you know. It's like, oh,
Yes.
it really brings me into my body. But it's true.
Yeah.
It is all about like that presence and the connection piece. And then I feel like anyone watching this or stumbling across this definitely loves to learn. So, what is a current favorite learning rabbit hole?
Ooh. Okay, so this might be not what you're expecting, but my my favorite learning rabbit hole right now is like myself. And that's really shifted for me. Like I am a Gemini in a like 4 planets, Gemini stellium, very Gemini. And I love information and I love learning. And so I am doing a lot of that on my own. But I think what's changed is like I'm being very mindful about what I'm consuming. And a lot of what I'm learning about is like I'm really just learning deeply about myself and my internal world, and like really just taking what life is presenting me and learning from it. And that's actually been really profound, because I actually found, for me at least, a lot of me seeking out new knowledge was actually me running away from my own experiences or like my own feeling. And so yeah, like my rabbit hole has kind of been myself lately, and just
Love.
yeah, just learning even deeper what it means to be a human, but a human as Jessika Lum,
Yeah.
and this this unique makeup of human.
Uh,
So
I love-
yeah.
yeah, I think self discovery is one of the most fun things that we can do. I mean, I'm a projector in human design, and that's like something that is like in projector energy of just like the more we can discover ourselves and see ourselves, and that's how other people see us. But that like finding that out just brings this whole new level of awareness to your life and the way you approach it. So I love that you mentioned that, because it is a different answer. And I feel like anyone out there who's just like, oh, okay, I should learn about me, and like learning about yourself is so awesome. So thank you for that one.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And what is, I mean, we work with like a bajillion different mentors all the time. I know this. But who is like a current favorite mentor or someone that like you always go back to? And mentor either like actually working with them or just out there in the world.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna throw in a unique answer, but I'll also give you like a concrete answer. But in learning about myself, I've actually been learning a lot from my higher self, like tapping into the energy of my higher self and like allowing my higher self to mentor me, which feels very like esoteric, I'm sure. It
But
might
I
be
get
hard to grasp,
yeah.
but yeah, that's been like really huge for me. And I think so much of me on this journey was seeking two mentors to find my way. And I feel like that's so important. Like I was talking with someone about this recently, like there is this like foundation that you need to layer or foundation that you need to lay um in order to kind of get to that point, I think. So I'm not saying stop reading, stop looking at mentors and stop like for sure do that because it's serving you to get to a place where you can trust yourself and your own intuition. So hopefully that makes sense. But yeah, I feel like this mentor, like in learning from myself, I've been learning from my higher self as a mentor. But in the external world, I work with 4 mentors right now. Um, So one that I've been working with consistently for the last year now is Sigrid, who we both work with.
Love her.
And yeah, like she's just incredible. I know you're doing her container that I'm in soon.
Yeah.
And yeah, like her medicine is so potent. Um, like she's just of the highest integrity and she's just always pulling a deeper layer out of me and everyone else. And I learned so much in that container from her, but also from what she's pulling out of everyone else. So there's so much medicine in it. And she is also very much about like the ancient roots and very much a medicine woman. So yeah, I love learning from her. I also have been working with my yoga teacher for the last 2 years, and her name is Daniela Cotreau. And well, I did her head to heart program, and now I'm doing becoming a heart-based leader program, all through like embodiment and learning through yoga. She's actually creating a heart leadership school, which I don't remember. She just launched the new name, so I don't remember exactly what that is, but I love that combination of embodiment with leadership because we have a lot of leaders out there that are only moving from the head space, ego, and in order to be an embodied leader, being in your body, leading from the heart, that's a lot more. So I love that philosophy and yeah, like I just love that. I love that. I don't know what else I want to say. I'm just like, I love that.
I think it's true. I think we're moving away from like a time where it was just like information made you enough of a mentor, but it's just like with technology, the age of technology, I mean, it makes
Yeah.
sense, and it's felt differently. That it's just like all of this knowledge that's looming, that's informative, but it's like how are you applying this to your life? Because
Yeah.
if you're not, then it's not really doing much for you. It's just information that's in your head.
Yeah, exactly. And then the other 2 mentors that I'm working with, Alyssa Nobrega, I'm doing her year-long coaching certification program, and that's just been so epic and transformative. It's actually quite a bigger container. Like in my cohort, there's 100 people. So I tend to like the smaller group settings a bit more. But she still has this way of like keeping it intimate, which I love. And it's just been really powerful to go deeper into, we're learning how to coach ourselves first, and then from there, coaching other people. So it's that embodiment piece as well. And then I've also been working with an energy healer who has become a mentor of mine, and his name is Daniel. And that is a lot more esoteric. Obviously, it's energy, like higher dimension energy, and what was I going with that? For me, it's been, I've never had really like, I guess I've had a few male mentors, but for me, it's been just really healing and nourishing to like work with a really beautiful masculine energy that's so in integrity. I feel like that's just really opening up a lot for me in receiving that mentorship. So yeah.
I like that. Yeah, I feel like I haven't worked with a male mentor, but the one that I do know I will work with is John Wineland. Like,
Yes.
I mean, I've done his like self-paced courses, like other things, but
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I'm gonna go to one of your workshops at one point and like be face to face. I feel like it'll be different, yeah, and I'm excited to do that at some point. So I love that you have a nice little balance of both. And then last little fun question here. Is like a current favorite mantra or a mantra you always come back to?
Hmm. Yeah. So two came to mind. The first one is just I am enough. And I feel like I always come back to that one. And I almost feel like I want to expand on it because like enough feels so like, oh, you're enough. Like, I don't know, it still feels limiting. So it's like I am worthy of everything. Like I am worthiness. Like I am infinitely worthy. I feel like those ones I can't tell myself enough. I just they're just so nourishing. And then the other one was like I am abundance or I am wealth. And I feel like that ties in with what we were talking about with money. Like and it ties in with the inherent worthiness. So I guess they're all kind of similar, but yeah, I just reaffirming that always and remembering that truth because I think there's so much out there that tells us otherwise. So, yeah, you are worthy. You are inherently worthy. You are wealth. You're abundant. Like, yes.
I love that. Yeah, I've been using the one I am rooted and rich lately.
Ah,
That one's been
yeah.
my favorite, and I've been singing it. I can't like think of the song, but it's gonna sound so funny. But I've literally been singing it like I am rooted and rich. But what song is that? But it's like a bad, it's like a dirty
Oh,
song.
it's I am feeling so hot. I want to take my clothes off. It's getting hot in
I
here.
don't know why it
Yeah.
like came through to that beat when I was like doing it this morning in my meditation. And I was like, that feels fun and catchy though. And then I'm like, that's a dirty song, kind of, but that's okay. It's
Yeah,
fun.
I love it. It's so fun.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, so funny and very random. I don't know why it came through that way. But okay, the last and final thing that I want to ask you, and it's really for anyone that is tuning into this episode, is if there was just one piece of advice that you could yell at the top of your lungs at the highest point of the world to everyone, like what would that piece of advice be and why?
It would be open your heart. And yeah, why? I just think our truth lies within our heart. And there's so many reasons to protect it. But again, it's just keeping you where you're at. And this is advice to myself that I'm leaning into right now.
Me too.
But yeah, I just think as we all begin to open our hearts, like everything's going to shift. And when we can lead from that place, like that heart centered place, like heart centered leadership, like that is where the big change happens. And again, it starts with self, but like if every single person took on that journey, like I can't even imagine where we would be.
Mm, yes. heart open to receive it all.
Yeah.
It, and where can people find you if they'd like to connect or work with you?
Yeah, so I mostly live on IG, on Instagram. So you can find me at jessica.lum. And um, yeah, I feel like connecting there is best. And then from there, I can lead you into the email or wherever else. But I'm always loving to, like I said, number one value is connection. So please reach out, DM me. I'm always happy to like make a new connection.
Yay. Yeah, definitely go find her on IG land. Say hello. Let us know what you loved about this episode. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us today, Jess. Love you so much. And I will talk to
Love
you.
you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.